One thing that is so relieving to me, one thing that is so freeing to me is realizing I made a mistake, or in other words, being aware of my mistakes. It makes me laugh sometimes because it's funny to me, um, because I'm a perfectionist at heart. I like to materialize everything exactly how I envision it in my mind, how I envision it through my imagination. For one, it makes me fear starting anything. It makes me fear. It makes me fear of materializing anything because I fear of making the mistake itself. And this is the artistic side of me, my artistic personality side of me that still learning to adapt to, still learning to give space to, still learning to see how it can express itself. And when I become aware of my fear of making a mistake and I allow myself to express myself or allow myself to create anything, whether that's art or anything else, when I make a mistake, when something shows up, when I materialize things that doesn't show up the way I imagine it to be, it's kind of like a relief for me. But I have to be honest, at first it shows up as frustration, anger, disappointment. But then noticing all those feelings, it becomes relieving to me. Noticing the so called mistake becomes relieving to me. That load that I carry on my body, the pressure that I put on my body to try not to make a mistake while creating something, it frees me up when I realize I made a mistake. Right? It frees me up when I become aware of my anger or disappointment of finding out that I made a so-called mistake. Then it makes me realize what really is this mistake? What really is this thing that hasn't ended up the way I thought it would end up, right? It only makes me realize and it only makes me become more aware that mistakes is only information. That's all it is. And what is information? Information is energy that needs to be aware of. That's all reality is. That's all so-called mistakes are. Mistakes is just information. But our human brains, our human minds like to label things. That's the way we are programmed. So we like to label things such as mistakes. But like I said before, mistakes can be seen as just information in a neutral. When you put yourself in a neutral state, when you get in touch with your own spirit, your own intuition, you notice that mistakes, the mistake is just information, it's just energy for you to learn, for you to be aware of whatever you need to be aware of, depending on your perspective. You start to look at that information, that so-called mistake, you start to look at that information, you start to look at that energy, and you realize that there is a better way to do things. Maybe there is a better way. Maybe there is another path. Maybe there is something that I missed out. That's why I didn't materialize the way that I imagined it to. Maybe there's another experience that I wasn't aware of that is much better than what I envisioned in my mind. Now, I say that all to say this. In my previous videos, all my previous videos, I've been confusing the terms God, universe, all that is. I've been confusing the terms spirit and soul. One thing I know about myself, I'm a perfectionist. But I'm not afraid to show the world my mistakes. I'm not afraid to show I'm foolish or dumb or stupid or to show that I'm confused about these terms. Actually, me doing these videos makes me feel free because it helps me know what I need to learn about myself and what I need to know of my external reality. So in the near future, you'll find me posting videos about soul and spirit, also about the terms universe, all that is, and God.